I've decided I want Charlie Brown for my vice president. Oh, good grief.
The views expressed on the following broadcasts do not necessarily reflect those of KHLT, Take 12 Radio, or our affiliates. The opinions on this show should not be considered as medical, psychological, or professional advice and are those of the host, co-host, and guest. Take 12 Radio and KHLT Recovery Broadcasting are not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship. Your co-hosts, Toni, Bruce, and the Monty'man.
Welcome aboard, everyone. Welcome. Hey, Bruce.
Hey.
Hey, Toni.
Yo.
Hey, Mourning.
Hello.
We are all here.
Finally.
Yeah. Toni walked to the studio today. What is wrong with you?
Toni had adventures.
I had this whole story I was going to tell about that, about how we had to go out and get her, and she was power walking.
Oh, yeah. Remember that did happen? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Wow. Well, welcome aboard. Welcome to the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show, The Great Reality with Toni and Bruce and myself. You guys are looking chipper. Hey?
Chipper?
No other way to be.
We're a chipper.
Chipper.
Mm-hmm. Chipper.
That's such a fun word. Chipper.
Yes.
It can put you in any good
Well,
mood.
I guess I was getting tired of people, when the people in the program would ask me, how you doing? I'd say fine. They'd make some sort of, fun of that. And I'd say, okay. They'd make fun of that. I'd say, oh, I'm doing great. They'd make fun of that. So I just thought I'd say chipper. I'm doing chipper. And they look at me like, what? So there you go.
Did you hear
chipper.
our responses when you said, how are you? Yay, yo, ho.
Yay, ho, like a bunch of pirates. Yay, ho, ho.
Variety pack.
So how was your mom's day, Toni?
Eye-opening and interesting.
Eye-opening and interesting. Bruce? How was your Mother's Day?
Well, I told every girl I knew that was a mom, Happy Mother's Day.
There you go.
And that is a big change for me, because I usually tell people, you're not my mother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, really. But I said, that's probably wrong.
Well, I used to go around saying, are you my mother?
Wasn't there a book?
Mother? Yeah.
Oh.
Little chicken or something, yeah.
Dr. Seuss, wasn't it?
No, I don't think
It was
Dr.
with the
Seuss.
dog and the little bird, wasn't it?
Yeah. The doggy and little bird.
Dr. Seuss.
Are you
I don't know.
Are you my mama?
Listeners, let us know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to stop and pick up a rose for an individual and give it to him for Mother's Day.
Oh, thank you.
I didn't have the money. I had spent more money than I had thought, so I just didn't.
So I didn't
want
do
to
it.
I didn't want to go to the bank and get some money. I didn't want to go through that whole process.
They weren't worth it.
I told this person, I said, I was going to get you a rose and give it to you, but this little deal where I didn't have the money. And they said, well, you shouldn't have told me.
Yeah. That's what I thought when you said that, too.
Yeah, and so she didn't answer the question, but why?
It's kind of a little devastating, but not in like a hurtful way. Kind of like, oh, I would have had a rose. That would have been cool. Like, I would have had a great mother today. That would have been cool for me, but I did good for others. And that's actually a true story.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
That's actually a true story.
Well, then, but it's the same. I guess maybe I should have kept my big mouth shut.
Oh, we love you, Bruce.
Yeah. I have moments every week where I probably should keep my big mouth shut.
Oh, God. I am queen of I should have kept my mouth shut, okay? Horrible.
Well, I'll tell you what we did.
No filter.
Well, I guess we don't know what when we say something, we don't know how people are going to take it.
Right.
Exactly.
What this response will be.
That's
was
true.
trying to be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we went to church, and Colin goes over to Albany First Assembly, and he's very involved with the youth group there and everything. But he came to church with us which is a tad boring for him because we're a little more conservative. We don't rock out quite as much as they do over there. And so, but he did that for his mom, and that was really awesome.
That's sweet.
He got to say hi to some old friends that were over there because he was on the worship team over there before. And then we went out to lunch to a brand new restaurant. I don't know if the restaurant's new, but we'd never been there before. We were going to go to Texas Roadhouse.
I love that
in Eugene, but instead we stopped at a place called BJ's, which is right next to it almost in Eugene in the Valley River Center. BJ's was amazing. I mean, they're not even an Italian restaurant per se. They're like more of a grill kind of thing. But their Italian food makes Olive Garden look like a bad cooking school.
Oh, yeah. No,
Olive Garden's gotten worse and worse over the years.
It has.
And this was absolutely, everything was garden fresh. Mm-hmm. Everything was hot. It was absolutely delicious. And then we went over and saw Captain America Civil War, which is the new Captain America movie and the Avengers and that. And I'm not really into that too much. But about a quarter way through, I slept. And then Spider-Man entered the scene with all the other Avengers, and I woke up, and I really had a gas. It was a really, really good movie. It done really well. I was really surprised. So we had a full day.
Good.
And
well, I want to correct
Marshall
myself. I did have one great Mother's Day gift, and that was for my daughter Kylie.
Thank
I love you,
Kylie.
I got home Friday, had a bad week already. Anyways, I mean, this last week I just never want to relive.
Got a sucky week.
Oh, good God, that's putting it nicely. But I came home and I know what the box was because it said Harry something. I'm like, oh my God! I sat on the porch with this brown box, knowing what's inside, just crying. Like,
It said Harry something.
and Harry, like whoever the strawberry maker chocolate. Because it was
Chocolate covered strawberries.
yeah.
Oh my!
So I knew
word.
what was in there. So I was holding this box on the porch, just crying like, "I love you, Kylie. I love you."
Aww.
Oh,
See, now my son, and I wish I'd known that, my son and his youth group and everything made chocolate colored strawberries to raise money, I think for his Romania mission trip. And the strawberries, he said, Dad, they're as big as your fist.
Yeah.
They were just gigantic.
Yeah, these are huge.
Yeah, I love chocolate covered strawberries, but I'm not supposed to eat them.
It's still fruit.
When do the cherries come out?
Did I say cherries? I meant
No, strawberries.
No.
When do the chocolate covered cherries come out?
When do the cherries come out where you can get them on the roadside at the strawberry?
I don't know.
Well, I have a tree. It's a half cherry tree and half something else. So the flowers have blossomed, but I haven't seen any buds yet, so not quite yet.
Yeah, because, I love them. I get
I like cherries.
crate every year. A crate.
Of chocolate-covered strawberry or
No,
cherries?
just
just
cherries.
cherries.
Oh, okay. Oh, I love cherries. My dad's a chocolate-covered cherry fan. I don't care for them much.
Oh, I don't either.
Bruce is a chocolate covered cherry.
Yeah.
I am.
Well, that's a different talk show, I think.
Yes, definitely would be.
Okay, the audience knows we're crazy. We can't even have a conversation, right?
Before we tell you what the topic is this week, next week it's going to be kind of fun. We're going to have Greg Seward join us on the phone. Greg is the director at the University of Massachusetts Medical Center. He also teaches at University of Massachusetts Medical Center School.
Oh, wow.
And it's going to be on the topic of tobacco and vaping and e-cigarettes and the truth about that stuff, that you listeners, if you're vaping because you think it's better than smoking, you want to listen to this because you may just change your mind. I'm not saying that smoking is worse or better. I'm going to let Greg talk to you about this. But this guy is
I have a
professional.
lot of questions for Greg.
Yeah, and he's going to be able to answer them. He is an expert. He is the director. I don't know if he's director or the CEO, whatever his title, but he's the head dude of the Tobacco Initiative out in Boston. And he's going to be able to educate us on some things that just may blow your mind.
That'll be an interest. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. So he's going to join us. He's been on the show several times. I had the pleasure of staying at his home with he and his beautiful wife and children out in Boston. Here a couple of years ago, and just a great family. He loves the Lord and loves recovery, and just an amazing guy. So he'll be with us next week.
I have a whole section in my family that do those things.
Do the e-cigarettes and the vaping and all that?
Yeah, have that. And, they have children, and it's my great-grandchildren. And,
right.
And it's just, they constantly have this thing in their hand and smoking it. It's worse than cigarettes.
I always think it'll blow up in my face. That's why I don't use it. That would be my luck. Okay.
Them Bic lighters were something for a while. Yeah. Remember when they was going off in people's pockets?
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. Yeah. That was a trip. Yeah. So this week's topic is good grief. Good grief. And a little snippet that we heard at the very beginning was Linus talking to Lucy, telling Lucy that he wanted Charlie Brown to be his running mate as the vice president. And I thought that was kind of tongue-in-cheek, depending on how you look at things today and right now with the craziness going on in politics, and also the whole term "good grief." Charles Schultz penned that in the Peanuts. I'm giving myself in trouble here. The Peanuts comic strip. Lord have mercy. Oh my goodness!
And you talk for a living?
I know. Good grief. But we're going to be talking about grief, and this is definitely part of our lives, and not just people in recovery, but as people in recovery, many times we magnify everything.
So how'd you come up with good grief?
Good grief? Well, there is good grief.
Good meaning excellent.
Yes. Well, good is
excellent grief.
Excellent grief. Actually, grieving can be a very good thing. And so we're going to be talking about that here in a minute. Oh, Lord have mercy. I don't know what I'm going to do with you, Bruce. I just don't know.
You're the one that come up with the heading, you and Cecil.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Cecil, we're going to be doing trivia here in just a minute, so don't go away. More when we come back with Dysfunctional Bruce and Functional Toni and Marvelous Monty when we return.
Free by the Sea is a drug and alcohol recovery center located in beautiful Ocean Park, Washington. This facility is amazingly gorgeous, but what's even more amazing is the integrity of the staff and the treatment provided for those wishing to recover from narcotic and alcohol addiction. The folks at Free by the Sea have a passion for presenting the solution to addiction for you or your loved one. To speak with an admission specialist, visit freebythesea.com or call toll-free 800-272-9199. This place is simply amazing.
And now,
it's the quiz of the week.
That's right.
That's right, everybody. It's time for Take 12 Radio's Quiz of the Week, sponsored by that recovery magazine, the 12-Step Gazette. Visit their website at 12stepgazette.com. Now, here's the Monty'man.
Yes, indeedy. It's Bruce's favorite game show. The Take 12 Trivia's Quiz of the Week. If you get it wrong, if you get it right, there you go. This week, fish trivia.
Like real fish or like the program?
No, real fish.
Oh, okay, good.
Fish trivia.
What fish program?
Fish, the people that help the hungry and all that. That's what you're talking about, right?
Oh.
Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah, the fish program here in Lynn County.
Oh,
no, not the fish program.
Okay.
I thought it was a new TV show.
No, but do you remember Barney Miller? There was a guy.
Oh my God, I
named
remember
Fish.
that show. My dad loved that show.
There was a guy named Fish on there, a big tall guy.
I didn't know that. Was that part of the trivia?
No.
Oh. Okay, let's do this.
Here, okay, number one. Humans have around 7,000 taste buds. Do catfish have more or less than humans?
Oh, for crying out loud.
Or any at all. I'd say more because
You gonna say
fish
more?
are weird.
What do you say, Bruce?
I say more just because it's so weird, too.
Yeah, well, you guys are absolutely correct. Catfish have over 27,000 taste buds.
Jesus.
And actually, most fish have taste buds all over their bodies.
Ooh.
Yeah, all over. Mm-hmm.
That's why they... Forget it.
Okay, number here, fishy. Number 2. Fish scales are found in most brands of this cosmetic. Is it lipstick, eyeshadow, or facial cream?
Lipstick.
Lipstick? What do you say, Toni?
I go with him.
You guys are absolutely correct.
I heard that one
Yep,
time.
Yep.
Yeah.
You betcha.
Why is it in there?
I don't know. You would be probably sickened to death if you knew some of the other ingredients.
Thank
in
God I don't wear
makeup.
lipstick.
Makeup.
I forget what it had anything to do with, but I did hear it.
Fishy lips. Now you can have fish lips.
See, I pay attention when they talk about women and cosmetics, and
And that's what you remember is there's fish scales.
That's why we love you, Bruce.
You smell like mackerel.
Oh my
As
gosh.
long as you say you don't smell like tuna, you're great.
I'm not even going there. All right, number 3. Quickly.
You're a little fishy.
This Careful.
All right.
Careful. This fish can actually raise its body temperature just by thinking it. You ready?
Oh, wow.
Is it a blowfish?
A blowfish.
Is it a great white shark? Or is it a seahorse?
A blowfish.
Okay, I'm just going to be different here. I'm going to say the last one, the seahorse, because I like
seahorse?
seahorses.
Oh, no. You go with the shark.
Okay.
What do you say, Bruce?
Blowfish.
Blowfish? Well, you both would be incorrect.
Oh.
It is the shark.
It is the great
Oh.
white shark. Its ability to do that in order to hunt in regardless what temperature the water's in, it can raise its temperature or lower
Get
it.
out of here.
No, very, 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 very talented fishy. Yep.
Now, see, that I didn't know.
Yeah. I didn't know it either. Now I do.
No wonder they can come in close to the shore like
Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy. Okay, here is your last and your bonus. Are fish colorblind? Yes or no?
I say yes.
This is a guess, people, but I'm going with yes also.
They are colorblind?
Yeah.
You guys would be incorrect. They do see color. Yep. They do see color.
Those fishes.
Well, I guess they'd have to because that's the shark, the brightness of things of the movement.
and actually, let me correct that. Most fish see color. Not every single species, but most fish do.
We make lures, and they're a different color.
Ooh,
Yeah,
good
and all that kind of
point.
stuff.
Good point.
And so many of them are actually able to camouflage themselves, and so they have to be able to see color to
I
change their
just
colors and
didn't
stuff.
think. I
That
bet
is true.
that there's a lot of people listening to this show that said dummy.
Right? Let me see you take fish trivia. I'm in a great mood.
you get trivias about flowers and and
I like-
dinosaurs and
You know what though? My whole week I love this hour because I love the trivia part.
Aw,
I do. It's honest.
it is Tony's favorite game show.
It is.
Bruce is just looking at Tony like, "Are you out of your mind?"
It's like The Price is Right, but live.
Yeah,
You don't win anything, but that's still good. Okay.
he's still staring at her. Do you guys remember? Do you guys
choosing the big door.
You remember Don Knotts? Remember who Don
Oh,
Knotts
I
was?
loved him.
Right? Okay. So he played Barney on the Andy Griffith Show. Was it Barney that he played? He also played Mr. Roper in Three's Company. He was one of the Mr. Ropers. There was two. He also played the voice of a fish in a movie. I can't remember the name of it. Was it Limpet? I think it was Limpet. Something like that, where he fell into the water and he turned into a fish. And he was an animated fish, and he would talk to his family.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was a fish. Remember that, Bruce?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And he swam away with a fish girlfriend and lived happily ever after in the bottom of the deep blue sea.
Go, Mr. Roper.
Go,
Go, Mr. Roper.
Das Limpet. Yes. Well, that does
Yes,
it for Take 12 Trivia.
That was a cute movie.
It was a cute movie. Yeah, fishy, fishy, fishy. All right, we'll be back right after this with the topic.
AA made all the difference in my life. I noticed that most of the goals I had as a kid were slipping by. I didn't feel like the person I hoped to be. After all those years of drinking, I really didn't know myself. When I was out there drinking, I was always looking for the next great party to make me feel all right. With AA, I found a better way of life. And I feel good in my everyday life, even without a drink in my hand. Alcoholics Anonymous. It works. Look us up. Check your phone book, newspaper, or AA.org.
Mm-hmm. Who is that, Bruce? Do you know who that is?
No, I wasn't paying attention. I was thinking.
Oh, What a Night. Oh, What a Night. Who sang Oh, What a Night?
I know the song. I don't know the
That actually wasn't the voice of the one who usually sings in that group, but it was the Four Seasons.
Ah.
The Four Seasons, yes. Mr. Valley. But that wasn't him singing. He actually comes in later in that song.
That's back when... Boy, I lost my microphone.
You lost your mic.
Yeah,
back in the 60s.
Yeah, flat tops and
right?
The four aces and
Oh, what a night. Well, listen, we're going to talk about grief. We're going to talk about grief this week. It is something that, I don't care who you are, at some point in your life, you're going to experience it. Mm-hmm. It might be at a very minimal level. It might be a catastrophic thing. And we're not going to talk about grieving our drugs and that kind of thing, but that's a topic for another show. But actually, we do go through a grieving process when it comes to that stuff too. Mm. We go through a grieving process when it comes to no longer hanging out with our old playmates that were doing drugs. There's actually a bond that's formed there, and we grieve that. We grieve our old lifestyle to a certain extent because it's what we knew.
Yeah.
But this is more along the lines of loss when it comes to other people in our lives, and perhaps friends and loved ones and so forth. And I'm going to have Toni read a little bit here, and then we'll take it from there and talk about the 5 different areas of grief that most people experience. So go ahead, Toni.
Alrighty, the stages of mourning and grief are universal and are experienced by people from all walks of life. Mourning occurs in response to an individual's own terminal illness, the loss of a close relationship, or death of a valued being, human or animal. There are 5 stages of normal grief that were first proposed by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross in her 1969 book, On Death and Dying. In our bereavement, we spent different lengths of time walking through each step and express each stage with different levels of intensity. The 5 stages do not necessarily occur in any order. We often move between stages before achieving a more peaceful acceptance of death. Many of us are not afforded the luxury of time required to achieve this final stage of grief. The death of your loved one might inspire you to evaluate your own feelings of mortality. Throughout each stage, a common thread of hope emerges. And that is, as long as there is life, there is hope. And as long as there is hope, there is life. Many do not experience the stages in the order listed here, which is okay. The key to understanding the stages is not to feel like you must go through every one of them in precise order. Instead, it's more helpful to look at them as a guided in grievance process, or in the grieving process. It helps you understand and put into context where you are. All people grieve differently. Some people will wear their emotions on their sleeves, as I do, and be outwardly emotional. Others will experience their grief more internally and may not cry, like my dad. You should try not to judge how a person experiences their grief, as each person will experience it differently.
Thank you. Thank
Well
you.
done.
Thank you.
So before we talk about the 5 levels of grief, and I'll share with you one of my short stories. But Toni, you've experienced loss, right?
In more ways than one, yes.
You want to share a little bit?
Well, my first one was my grandfather, and I his name, I called him Gramps, but that was kind of in the beginning of my drinking career, like the very, very, very early stages of it,
Right.
And it made me realize to like 2 years in sobriety when my grandma died, like how much time I lost, and that really like was a huge awakening into like feeling the feelings and what grieving really is. So I really leaned into the program. But there are also things like I have to grieve relationships, like you said earlier,
Yes.
about like having to make decisions for myself without having to worry about how other people feel, because it's better and healthier for me. But it's still a grieving process.
You bet.
It's still a loss. So
Give me the time to have to walk away from a situation with a person who's still alive,
yeah.
right? It's a huge grieving process.
Well, and the third one is trying to make a rational decision, like Cinder.
Right.
I won't. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's hard for you. Yeah. You bet.
That one was most recent. That's how I still choke
Right,
up.
right. Bruce, what about you?
I don't know how to approach this. You know, I really don't. I know that when I lost my mom, it was probably the first time that I realized that there was a process taking place. And I'd have to go into the bathroom and throw water on my face for I could go back out and talk to the people that in the house.
Yeah.
Because of, you know, I was going to cry. I just swell up inside. And that's what I did for a couple years. You know,
Right.
it was just horrible to, you know, I couldn't speak about her.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of, you know, I wished I could have done this. I wish I'd have done
Coulda,
that.
woulda, shoulda.
That was it that I placed internally inside myself that had taken place in her life, you know, that I should have been a better caretaker.
Yeah.
You know. And then the last one was I just lost my wife, you know.
Right.
And that was under circumstances where she was by herself, and I was never, I grieve. I don't think it was the loss of my wife, but recognizing my own shortcomings and how I should have loved her.
Perfectly put. Perfectly put. Amen.
You know, I didn't properly.
So you
do
were
that.
grieving in the realm of regret?
You can't recover from that.
Yeah.
See, you did it. It's done. It's over.
Yeah.
And I wish that I would have. I grieve the thought that what I could have done to help her and to make her life better, and probably my own too, if I would have been able to do that, you know. And I think I could now. And that's the bad thing. That's the horrible thing that we have to live with, is we know now that it was nonsense that was in our own head.
Yeah.
And our own inability to think to do that because we're so selfish and self-centered,
Sure.
you know.
Sure.
And I'm not sure, I'm still not thinking about myself, but I'd give anything to be able to rectify that and to change that. And I just hope God will use it in a mighty way.
Yeah. So two of mine that come to mind. Sakima was our first dog, and Sakima was my best friend. You know, and Sakima was with me constantly. When I had to let Sakima go because Sakima got very, very sick, hip problems and so forth. Sakima fought me on. I was holding Sakima down while they did the injection, and fought me on it. And the last look in his eyes wasn't one, it was more one of being scared and being confused. You know what I mean? And I couldn't get that out of my head riding back from Corvallis, where we had to put Sakima down. And I cried. I am talking about uncontrollable weeping, harder than I did when my mom died. I mean, it was intense. It was wailing. I was, because I just felt so guilty, and you know, and it was very, very powerful. It was very, very powerful. Now the other one, I had to grieve the loss of my entire family on my side, with the exception of one cousin, and we had a situation where we did nothing wrong. We did absolutely nothing wrong. And I had a relative step in and confuse my mother and lie to my mother. And my mom wasn't doing well mentally, and changed the will and everything. We lost our home. We lost the school district that my parents set up for my children because we lost our home. And not one member of my family. Now, I was an only child, but I had lots of aunts and uncles. And we were always very close growing up. Not one member of them would talk to me for years. And I have one cousin that continues to talk to me. Actually, two. One that I've always been very close with. But the rest of them, aunts and uncles, hang up on me, don't want anything to do with me. They believed a bunch. I don't even know what they were told. But I had to grieve the loss of my side of the family.
Yeah.
And boy, that was, you feel like a man without a country kind of thing. You know, the thing that's great about our stories is that we're still here.
True.
We walk through these things. We move through these things with the help of God. Here is, now this, like you mentioned in what you read, these are the 5 levels of grief, according to the author that you mentioned. And these do not necessarily happen in this order. It is common for them to happen in this order, but it's not uncommon that they don't. Number 1, denial and isolation. The first reaction to learning of terminal illness or death of a cherished loved one is to deny the reality of the situation. You know, this isn't really happening. I was that way with my family. So when I say death of a loved one, it was the death of my family, you know, that this can't be happening. It is a normal reaction to rationalize overwhelming emotions. It is a defense mechanism that buffers the immediate shock. We block out the words and hide from the facts. This is a temporary response that carries us through the first wave of pain. So it reminds me of a story about denial, that sometimes denial is actually a good thing. You get a guy in the military and he's in a foxhole, and they get hit by a bomb, and when the dust clears, all of his buddies are dead, and he survives it. And he crawls out of the foxhole, and he's heading to the MASH unit because he knows something's wrong with him. He doesn't know what it is. And he's feeling this kind of warm feeling on the left-hand side of him, and he's making it to the MASH unit. When he finally gets there, he realizes he lost a limb.
Oh, wow.
Right? But he didn't know it. Well, he knew it. I mean, he looked, he saw his arm was gone, but he did not recognize it. He was in total denial about it. All he knew was he needed to get to the MASH unit. And his denial actually allowed him the ability to get from the foxhole to the MASH unit. And so sometimes denial is necessary to get us from one phase of grief to a next phase of grief. Otherwise, he would have gone into shock and very well passed out and been killed. So that's denial. The isolation piece is pretty dangerous when we isolate.
Yeah.
You know, that's,
anytime we isolate, it's dangerous.
Yeah. So,
well, how about if you just internalize and you think that's isolating and go on with life?
I think it could be, yeah. Don't you?
I was just wondering that from what you were saying.
If you just stuff it and just go on and...
Yeah. I don't, because, see, I don't... I hardly understand the dog thing because it's an animal.
Right.
And I had a dog that I loved.
Yeah.
You know, but that was just the way that was.
Right.
You know, So I think that shows that we grieve differently.
We do.
You know?
We do.
But I was wondering if, see, I'm the kind of a person that I didn't share my thing with my mom. I don't share my regret with my wife.
Right.
You know? I use it if it'll help if people know, you know, that these things, if I'm working with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But I just internalize those things, know that life has to go on. I don't think I hold them that they're a big weight on the back of my back. I just wish that I said, boy, we sure could have done better.
Right.
It's
right.
Yeah. The one I don't understand, Monty, if you want to know about the weeping, is that when I come to Christ and I thought about another individual that I know and I knew he was lost, I cried for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Now I was grieving for this man.
Sure.
It was a man, and I was crying for him.
Yeah.
I was in between these two bunks in my motorhome on the floor and just weeping about this individual. Now, and I was grieving because I knew he was lost.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Ain't that something?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You remind me so much of my dad when you're talking because it's like listening to him is
Yeah, but
crazy.
is that right?
He's the same way.
We can't do anything about that.
No.
So I put it away, see, and that's what I do.
And the thing with my dog, for instance, now when we lost one of our cats, I was very close to that cat.
Yeah.
The cat's name was Survivor.
Oh,
because it had survived so many things.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I didn't grieve the way I did with our dog.
See, now there's the thing. That's, I guess, because I was thinking if I have an animal that I do, I guess I just do.
Well, I think it's because we had to make that decision. And I think that's why it still gets me now. It's like having to, on any human or animal, having to make that specific decision.
The final choice.
Yeah. And, you know, Cinder, she was, I think she was ready way before I was. I think I waited another day.
Sakima was too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And so when,
Good point.
you can see the pictures on my Facebook. It's still really hard.
Yeah.
But this is how I get through it. I talk about it. But I've never had to make a decision on another life.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it affects me so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. You bet. You bet.
She's got a really good point there.
See, because Survivor was hit by a car.
No, geez.
I didn't have to put Survivor down.
Uh-huh.
I had to put Sakima down.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
But Sakima was ready long before, too.
Yeah.
My selfishness kept Sakima here longer than what was fair. Number 2, anger. As the masking effects of denial and isolation begin to wear, reality and its pain reemerge. We are not ready. The intense emotion is deflected from our vulnerable core, redirected and expressed instead as anger. The anger may be aimed at an inanimate object, complete strangers, friends or family. Anger may be directed at our dying or deceased loved one. Rationally, we know the person is not to be blamed. Emotionally, however, we may resent the person for causing us pain, or for leaving us. We feel guilty for being angry, and thus that makes us more angry.
Yeah, when my friend died, I was mad at him.
Yeah.
For dying. Yeah, that was my grieving process. Took me a while to get angry over it. I mean, away from the anger. And the other time I was angry was at the family. I think my grief for my wife, I was directing it towards the family. I was mad at all of them because of their wanting to take everything. You know, and I just give it to them. And it wasn't enough to give it to them. They had to act like vultures.
Ask for more. Exactly. Be greedy.
Right. Yeah.
They took the pictures off the wall. They took everything. And like she says, they wanted to take the towels and stuff out of the the laundry cupboard.
And I can relate to that because when my grandma passed, my mom and her sister asked all of us kids to make a list, and I'm like, there's only one thing I really wanted, and that was her Bible. I said, basically, I think I put 3 things because you can't put a list on an. I didn't like to have to make that list, but I think I only put 2 or 3 things, and I'm like, whatever, whatever you want to give. I love my family. I really do. And they are amazing people. But sometimes on my side of the family, my siblings at times, and I love you guys so much, don't take this the wrong way, can be greedy.
Yeah.
And I was that way, and I can still be that way.
Grief,
and I could not put that list. And I got the Bible, and that's the only thing I wanted.
Grief can make us greedy.
Yeah.
It does weird things to people.
Yeah.
It really does. In the case of losing our home, what we decided to do was we decided to make sure the house was cleaner than it was when we moved in. Mm-hmm. It was a house that was handed down to me. This relative talked my mom into changing the will. Mm-hmm. But we knew to fight this thing, I wasn't going to go through that. I wasn't going to put my family through that.
Yeah.
We said, you know what? Just let it go. So we made sure the house was cleaner than it was when we moved in. We hired somebody to come in and clean it. We left everything except for my dad's chair that he gave to me. Mm-hmm. I had stuff in that house that was actually mine. We left everything. And so nobody could say anything, and we said, we're washing our hands of it. We're going to let it go before they can actually take it.
Yeah.
And so that was our way of dealing with that. I think that made it a lot easier than going through some big court battle and losing it anyway, and all that anger being there.
You're absolutely right. And what I found when I I give away access to a amount of money, okay, there was some money involved, and I gave access of that away. It was the most freedom that I'd ever felt in my life, because what was happening is I didn't want to.
Right.
I thought I was entitled, that this was mine, that I deserved it more than they did.
Exactly.
They were just going to throw it away anyway. Mm-hmm. You see, these type of things. So it was consuming me. Mm-hmm. And the minute that I signed the papers and gave that away, I was set free. And I recognized that. And boy, I'm telling you, to be under that kind of worldly clamors and that kind of bondage, is just absolutely, and it's hard to do. I did not want to do it. Mm-hmm. I want you to know that. There was a piece of me that struggled with it. But once it was done, it was probably the most freedom I've ever. It was more freedom than I felt from my addiction, and you people know how I feel about that.
Exactly.
Right.
I do not want to go back to
right,
caught up in that again. But it was a greater. It was the more. God's been good to me, people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think if I was still drinking, I would have been just as greedy as my siblings were.
Sure.
Oh, you bet.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, maybe more.
Yeah. Number 3 is bargaining. The normal reaction to feelings of helplessness and vulnerability is often a need to regain control. We say things like, if only we had sought medical attention sooner, or if only we got a second opinion from another doctor, if only we had tried to be a better person toward them. That kind of reflects on what you were saying, Bruce. Mm-hmm. Secretly, we may make a deal with God or our higher power in an attempt to postpone the inevitable. This is a weaker line of defense to protect us from the painful reality. Mm-hmm. So we bargain. We bargain with God. God, if you just bring him back, I'll do this. God, if I could just go back in time, I would do this. I would do that. It's the what ifs and the could have, should have. Yeah, right.
I think 1 and 3 go hand in hand, kind of a little bit.
I think you're right. I think bargaining can be a piece of denial. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think stuff could be interlaced. It could be real confusing.
Mm-hmm. Very confusing.
Mm-hmm. Number 4 is depression. 2 types of depression are associated with mourning. The first one is a reaction to practical implications relating to the loss. Sadness and regret predominate this type of depression. We're sorry about the cost and burial. We're sorry that in our grief we have spent less time with others that depended on us. This phase may be eased by simple clarification and reassurance. We may need a bit of helpful cooperation and a few kind words. The second type of depression is more subtle and, in a sense, perhaps more private. It is our quiet preparation to separate and to bid our loved ones farewell. Sometimes all we really need is a hug.
Wow.
I went through that with people in my life where I went through that silent depression, and it really wasn't. It wasn't the blues. It wasn't clinical depression. It was kind of a quiet time of getting prepared to finally accept, which is number 5, by the way, the reality of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And people would say, "What's wrong with you?" And I'd say, "Nothing. I'm just sad." Yep. It isn't a bad thing. It's just preparing you for it. Mm-hmm. I don't know too many people that do backflips and jump up and down and want to ride on carnival rides when they lose somebody.
Right, exactly.
If you do, you're very strange.
Yeah. I didn't want to be alone. Mm-hmm. When I died, I wanted to have a mate, that would be with me, that would
right.
That I was dependent on, and she's dependent on me. You know what I mean? That we had this bond. That I could have some sort of insurance and give it.
I think that's about the sweetest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Aww.
Well, it's what we do. It's what we build these relationships, and other people can't give us that. And I think that can put us in a state of depression because we've lost that if we're not real careful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I can get depressed and real sympathetic, and even self-pity can come into the picture. As we go through the grieving process. But I've seen others go so deep that they actually have to get physical help from doctors.
You bet.
To take medication,
right?
Because they just slip into this thing and they can't get out. Mm-hmm. They just can't get out of it. That's why I think God's been good to me. Because I have this, but I don't have it to the degree that I see it in people.
Yeah.
And there's nothing I can do to stop it.
No.
Yeah.
But just be there and try to be of encouragement and let them know I understand, that it hurts, and it's like you put yourself in a room that you think you want to be in. It's got no windows, and then there's no way out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect analogy.
We when we got married, we made an oath to each other that we would not put 100% of ourselves into the other person.
See,
because we had watched spouses that did that, and when the other spouse passed away, it was just a matter of like 3 years at the max when the other one would pass away due to grief.
See, people think that that's a good thing, but see, that's not God-centered.
Right.
See, if you put God first, even before your relationship, He will show you how to have the right kind of relationship.
That's right.
Okay, and this must be my Grammy talking right now through me. Because she lived, and she was very spiritually fit. I mean, every Sunday until the day she died, she was in church.
Yeah.
And she lived years after my grandpa passed, years, because God was so strong in her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And see, and so we lit a unity candle, and part of it was, my thing was like the times with going out with the guys, and doing all that stuff, that's come to an end. I'm joining this woman and we're becoming one, but we're only one because of what God is in our lives. So we lit the unity candle, and that meant God was at the center of our relationship. Aww. And so if one of us happens to go, our even though as painful as it can be, I don't have, and Marcia doesn't have, 100% of each other in each other. We have ourselves founded in God.
If you had 100%, how could you rectify that?
Oh my gosh!
See, because you can't stop this process.
No.
We're talking about something that we're going through.
Right.
Right.
Now
you can grieve secularly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can you grieve spiritually?
Right.
Can you grieve spiritually? That's the question.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which brings us to number 5, acceptance. Reaching the stage of mourning is a gift, not affordable to everyone. Death may be sudden and unexpected, or we may never see beyond our anger or denial. It is not necessarily a mark of bravery to resist the inevitable and to deny ourselves the opportunity to make our peace. This phase is marked by withdrawal and calm. This is not a period of happiness and must be distinguished from depression. Loved ones that are terminally ill or aging appear to go through a final period of withdrawal. The dignity and grace shown by our dying loved ones may well be their last gift to us. Coping with loss is ultimately a deeply personal and singular experience. Nobody can help you go through it more easily or understand all the emotions that you're going through, but others can be there for you and help comfort you through the process. The best thing you can do is to allow yourself to feel the grief as it comes over you. Resisting it only will prolong the natural process of healing.
That can be more true.
Yeah. So acceptance shouldn't be confused with depression. Because acceptance can appear to be very depressing, but you're going through the acceptance process of what's going on. And I don't believe, and Bruce, you and I talked about this before the show, I don't believe I can fully accept what's going on in the loss of even my family or the loss of my pet or any of that stuff and come out the other end and be okay without the power of God in my life. And I've gone to funerals and memorial services and watched people that do not have a relationship with the living God. And I have said to my wife, how do they make it through it? And she says they don't.
This is what I think God has done. He's made us where we can go to this acceptance,
yes,
process, and it don't confuse it with depression.
Yeah,
because it's there, and people see it. They think we're depressed, but we're not. We're just acknowledging and accepting what's taken place. What took place in my mother's life. What took place in my wife's life, in mine. And now I've accepted that, and I'm trying to move on and do the right thing. You see what I mean? And this is what I know, and this is where my hope lies. And I just have to pass this along to people, that God is going to use this in a way that I don't understand, or I don't know quite how, but I know He'll use it. All things work for good for those that are called according to His purpose. Love Him. All things.
Yeah. Amen.
The funny part is I listened to you share, and you've said some great things, but you have to, and this is just my thought. You always say you wished you knew. You wish you could have, would have, should have, and you never shared your story. Well, you just did, and she knows now. That's God's work right there.
Wow.
I got deep.
That did.
But it's true. I mean, they may not physically be here.
Get a little horn there for that.
Yeah. But, I talk to my grandma like and my grandparents like they're still there.
Well, the Word of God says the saints go on before. They're praying for us. They're praying for us. And I got to tell you, when you have that hope, when you've got that eternal hope, and you know that, you can move forward. I just don't know how people do. They just don't. They don't get over it, or they continue to grieve forever in a manner that. And I'm not trying to tell people how to grieve. I'm just saying, and no one should ever say, "Well, by now you should be over it." You know what I'm saying? But I don't have that burden. I mean, I still miss Sakima. I miss my family. When I think about it, I tear up.
Yeah.
But I don't have that horrible weight on my shoulders, that grim reaper kind of thing. You know what I
think
mean?
that's the acceptance
gone.
process.
That's gone, yeah.
And I think the acceptance grows daily as we go on, too. I don't think it's, bam, I accepted it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, we really, no, I think you're right. And I think it just goes back to where Monty, the disclaimer that you said, this acceptance thing. We don't tell people, and people go through different stages at different times.
Right.
And, some people are more depressed. Some people are more angry. You see what I mean? And we have to allow them that time. Yeah. But we do and are called to come alongside one another.
You betcha.
And to help this person to edify and to hold them up and to carry one another's
Definitely.
burdens.
Definitely.
See, we don't want to do that. When we enter into people's lives, it's the mess and the good stuff.
Yep.
You bet.
We have
You
to
bet.
be willing to do
You
that.
bet. You bet. Well, listen, we're closing out with a song. It's a sad song, but I think it makes a real good statement. Life is for the living. It really is.
That is true. Huh, Bruce? We love you.
I'm going to say that's sad.
I'm growing on him.
Life is for the
living. This is our friend Jerry Vandiver, and this is his song, Life Goes On.
She's been alone for 3 years now. Well, there's me and my sister. But for 46 years till he died, she was Mrs., he was Mr. She has her Tuesday bridge club friends and Sunday school that she attends. But someone new has just stepped in to fill what she's been missing. Life goes on, and it's only for the living. Life goes on, it's not meant to go alone. She needs, she wants, she's here, he's gone, and life, oh, life goes on. Howard buys her ice cream cones. She thinks that's so romantic. They do bargain matinees and Friday senior dance. You'll never take her husband's place, but Howard sure has helped erase the empty hours, the empty space, though it's not the way she planned it. Life goes on, and it's only for the living. Life goes on, it's not meant to go alone. She needs, she wants, she's here, he's gone, and life, oh, life goes on. And somewhere, wherever he is, I know Dad is smiling down on all of this. 'Cause life goes on, and it's only for the living. Life goes on, it's not meant to go alone. She needs, she wants, she's here, he's gone, and life, oh, life goes on. Life goes on. Life goes on.
Until our next broadcast, this is the Monty'man, along with Toni and Bruce, and we'd like to wish God's perfect serenity for you. Bye-bye now, my friends.
This has been a broadcast of Take 12 Recovery Radio and KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.